Also. Sir! Captain! Fire! Fire! Fire!
You may fire when ready.
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Bitcoin having a beautiful bounce exactly on the support. This is very, very nice to see for the bullish case. However, we do know today is a very big day. We have the FOMC meeting, and in yesterday's video, I told you guys to expect some potential volatility. Now, regardless of whether or not you're watching this video before the announcement or after the announcement, I understand that obviously that news is time sensitive, but I want to go over some other things today. So even if the announcement has already come out and the price is going crazy, there's a few things we need to talk about. In fact, I have some video clips in today's episode that you're going to want to stick around for, because a lot of people are very concerned, very worried about what could be happening. How bad are things going to get? You have guys like Paul Tudor Jones saying you need to get the heck out of things like stocks and bonds. So then where do you put your money, and what does this mean for crypto? Well, there is an extreme opportunity right now for everyone who is still watching. You are setting yourself up right now potentially for life-changing wealth, and I'm going to show you even more evidence for why we are still early, and this next bull run could be the bull run to end all bull runs. But most importantly, my friends, may the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. So that being said, guys, we're going to talk about the volatility coming up in the crypto markets, what's happening today with the meeting, and stick around and make sure you watch those two videos at the end. And also, the time has finally come. Today is the last day for the MEXC Global competition, the giveaway, actually, $1,000 giveaway to 5 different people, as well as $25 if you deposit $100 and trade a little bit. So yeah, if you want to get in on that below in the description. Today is the last day, but without talking about all that, guys, we have a lot of other things to go over, so stick around. And if you are new, if you are a new subscriber, say hello, because man, it's been pretty dead out here recently. But for everyone that has stuck around, this is why I'm keeping making these videos for you guys. We're gonna do it. We're a community. Having a look right here. Let's dive into the chart. So even though we're not seeing massive buy signals at these levels, you know, especially looking at the market cipher right here, you can see that we have had multiple touches down at this support, and this upwards trending support line is holding quite well. You could see, however, if let's say they say they're only going to raise it 25 basis points, or maybe they stay neutral or something like that, we could see a pump up here, maybe try to test that $43,000 level. On the flip side, if the news is bad, well, then we could potentially come all the way back down to the $33,000 level, but we don't know what's going to happen yet, or at least I don't know. Maybe you know because you're watching it a few hours from now. But regardless, guys, even though we are sitting above that upward sloping trend, I just want to point out, if we take it from the very first candle move that we had down here, okay, this very first candle, not trying to cherry pick bottoms here, and we draw these lines, according to this, guys, we are already sitting below it. And we're actually having this level of around $39,500 acting as resistance. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. Now, we did somewhat start to break out of this falling wedge, but keep in mind, you know, we did have a little bit of a fake out here, a little fake out down here, and currently, as I'm making this video, we are actually sitting exactly on the support. So can we flip this into support? If we can, well, then traditionally a falling wedge is in fact a pattern that you could play for a breakout to the upside, right? So a lot is going to come down to what the meeting says, but ultimately this is technically, you know, a bullish formation, a bullish pattern. It did come out of a downtrend, but it should break to the upside theoretically, depending on the news that we got. But the other thing I want to point out is we also had a bounce in stocks as well. So once again, we're seeing Bitcoin kind of trading with the stock market, right? Stocks had a little bit of a bounce. Bitcoin had a little bit of a bounce. Also, just wanted to point out, guys, and I don't trade stocks. I probably should trade stocks because we called this level exactly. We had this resistance coming down right here. And if you look at where it bounced, guys, I kid you not, it bounced exactly on our levels. That would have actually been a really good opportunity to take that for a trade. Obviously, I told you guys I don't really trade stocks, but if you are interested in trading stocks, I almost think they're easier in a way than trading Bitcoin. I just want to say I highly recommend Prime XBT. They are really cool because you can trade all different kinds of markets, not just crypto. For example, you can actually trade the stock indices as well. You have the S&P, the Germany 30, the US Tech 100, Hong Kong 50, and a lot more. And the cool thing is you can do it using Bitcoin. So you can just hold your Bitcoin, send your Bitcoin, and trade using Bitcoin. You don't have to set up any weird account, and it only takes 20 seconds, literally, just to get registered. Oh, and by the way, if you guys do use the link below, you do get a $7,000 bonus if you're interested in that. But getting back to the topic of the day, the DXY has come to a complete stall, and that is because everyone is waiting to see what happens. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but outside of that, just talking about the technicals, if I had my eyes closed and my ears couldn't hear, didn't know anything was going on today, I would definitely tell you that we are looking for some massive volatility. I actually changed the colors on this chart from yesterday. It's a little brighter. You think you guys could see it better. But as you guys can see, we are starting to really coil up in this level. And every time that we have these really tight bands down here, we coil up like this, even down here, what usually tends to happen is a violent move either to the upside. Now, currently, if you look at what we're doing, we're sitting below the basis, right? We're sitting below the center line, and we're looking to have that little bit of a fake out, breakout to the bottom side, and then move to the upside. So that is obviously if things work out the same way that they have in the past. But either way, guys, we are expecting some volatility. Now, there's a few things I want to talk about in today's video about why the opportunity to make the most money in crypto is closer than a lot of people think. And for all of these people that have walked away, thrown in the towel, said screw it, they are the ones that are truly going to miss out. In fact, you've even seen guys like Joe Rogan, who was, you have to admit, if you watch him, a little bit of a Bitcoin and crypto skeptic, right? In the beginning, now he's come out and actually said that he does believe it has feet. He does see the value in it. Actually, in this video, he expresses a bit of a concern. I'm curious if you guys feel the same way.
Exactly.
I think of Bitcoin the same way I think about the early internet. I think they didn't see it coming, and now it's a viable form of currency. You can actually buy things with it, and I think the government is freaking out. I think what they're going to try to do is they tried to do some shit with the internet during the Obama administration where they were going to try to censor the internet, and it fell apart because people were furious in the uproar, and they thought the political repercussions of it were not worth it. Like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, so they backed off of it. But I feel that there's going to come a time where some government, whether it's the United States or another government might try it first, they're going to try to implement, I know they already do it in China, but they're going to try to implement a digital currency, a centralized digital currency that they can control.
Yeah.
What's scary about that is they could say, Khalil, we've looked at, your behavior online, and you have some marks against you, and so you're not going to be able to buy this, or you can only buy staples. You can't, you're going to buy food and shelter, but we're not going to allow you to travel, because that could be a
scary.
real thing where they could literally limit what you spend your money on.
So could they issue a CBDC? Well, then we'd be able to see everything that they're doing, let's not forget, right? But we do know that they have done these things in the past, right? The gold confiscation in the 1930s, people tend to forget about that, right? So there is that possibility. However, I just want to turn it over to former Goldman Sachs executive Raoul Pal. He's saying that he expects there to be billions of new cryptocurrency users by the end of the decade, despite any jitters investors may currently feel about the markets right now. And I showed you guys this chart yesterday, by the way, but he expanded on it, so I want to kind of give him the spotlight. He says crypto adoption is now massively outperforming the internet. It's been growing at about 165% a year versus 85% for the internet for the same period of time now. This is the fastest adoption of any technology in all of human history. We are going to get 5 billion users by 2030, he says. He says, I think that is the magnitude of what is happening. And you can own this, unlike the internet. It's much easier to own because you own a share of the network by owning the actual crypto. So then he goes on to this next chart down here. He says this shows it in more of a dramatic way, which is not on a log scale, and we're assuming the internet was growing at 43% a year from about year 6. So, as you can see right here, if crypto grows at 43% a year, it gets to 10 years, which is 4 years, should bring it to 1.2 billion, but if it continues to grow at 76%, which is a lowering of growth versus 165% it's doing now, we get to 2.8 billion. These are astonishing numbers. The world has never seen anything like this before. Whatever happens, whatever the trend rate of growth is, this is exploding. So the macro backdrop is massive. And I want to just point out this tweet. Now, this didn't come out today. This came out April 29th from Bob Lucas. Now, Bob Lucas, if you're not following him on Twitter, he is definitely a trader. He's been around, seasoned veteran. I certainly respect him. He says, feels like Bitcoin and by extension cryptosphere has been around a long time already. I've been in it just 6 years and I'm getting gray hairs, guys. I'm losing my hair. I'm getting gray hairs. I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? He says, one day in crypto feels like a year, right? He says, I deal with a lot of professionals, i.e. lawyers, CPAs, traders, money managers, entrepreneurs, etc. And seriously, majority have little knowledge, let alone exposure. Still a joke to them. So this guy says, I know many such types. Most are just annoyed that they were wrong. They are now actually starting to believe they were wrong. They will FOMO in the next cycle. And he says the next cycle was always destined to be the cycle. Epic. I have had this feeling, my friends, deep in my gut for so long. And this is why it is virtually impossible for me to become a true Bitcoin bear. Short term, of course, but long term, I believe that we are going to see the most insane rally that you have ever seen for Bitcoin that will absolutely trump 2017 and even what we just saw recently. All right, you have these guys realizing they missed out. We have them, the laggards, right? You have the early majority. You ever see the S curve? Then it goes almost vertical and then it levels out. I still believe we're at the very bottom, or at least just entering that S curve, right? We still don't have the spot Bitcoin ETF. We still only have about 10% of the US invested, majority being retail, who honestly has left, let's be honest. And we still don't have sovereign wealth funds. We don't have the billions of dollars coming from the UAE, Saudi and Arabian princes, and all these these other guys, right? We don't have that old wealth money, especially because we don't have that spot Bitcoin ETF. And I crunched the numbers for you. I showed you Kathy Wood anticipates a $500,000 increase in the Bitcoin price with just some of these institutional buyers. Kevin O'Leary, who actually got citizenship over in the UAE because he sees the interest in cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically, as far as they are concerned, looking to allocate 3 to 5% of their capital. He estimates that could push the price up $700,000 alone. You're talking about a potential $1 million Bitcoin by the end of this decade. It sounds crazy. It sounds absurd. And I know what you're thinking, but the Fed, they're going to raise rates. There's no way. Well, that's why I wanted to turn it over to what Paul Tudor Jones had to say. This was an interview that he had with Squawk Box. He talks about his opinion about Bitcoin, a little bit of concern, and also what he thinks could be happening with the Fed, not just today with the meeting, but moving forward for the next few years.
Well, actually, here's what I was going to start out by saying. If you ignore Paul Tudor Jones, ignore him at your own peril. And you may not always be right, but you were Druckenmiller. I mean, there's not many guys like you. So, I mean, I really want to hear your answer on this because I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I don't see how I can be.
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks for the question. It's a great question. Here's what I see. I see this generational divide, and it's a digital divide. And unfortunately, Joe, you and I are probably on the other side of it, though I think we're both scrambling as fast as we can to understand it. If you look, and I see it all the time in our quant groups, I see it all the time in my kids' friends. If you look at the smartest and brightest minds that are coming out of colleges today, so many of them are going into crypto. So many of them are going into the Internet 3.0. It's hard not to want to be long crypto because of the intellectual capital, just the sheer amount of intellectual capital that's going into that space. And clearly, if you think about the ultimate dream of crypto, it's a borderless internet, right? Where all of a sudden you have blockchain as the verification code to allow anyone on the internet to instantly connect because the blockchain verifies who they are. And then that opens up just huge possibilities. Clearly, central banks and central governments are not going to necessarily be huge fans of that, particularly when it comes to using crypto as a medium of exchange. That's the number one thing that's holding it back, is the fact that you're not going to get buy-ins from governments because they lose the ability to control the creation and the supply of money. Having said that, in a world where we're starting to deglobalize and breaking down and actually probably going reverse, that ability to have the borderless internet, that ability to have a store of value outside of necessarily having your money denominated, whether it's in rubles or yuan or dollars, it becomes very attractive. So I've got my modest allocation to crypto. I have a trading position on top of that that goes from fully invested to zero. And I'd say right now I'm modestly invested, and I would think that it's going to have a bright future as we roll through these rate hikes at some point in time. A lot of it depends on what our central bank does. A lot of it depends on how serious we are about fighting inflation. I kind of think that when we get down to it, and that might be September, could be November. I mean, we could easily be at 2.5% rates in September, right? That's just 50 a meeting for 4 meetings. It'll be a different world. You'll now have, now the cost of owning crypto, gold, and other inflation hedges will be more significant, and it'll be interesting to see whether that's enough to quell inflation. If not, they're going to have another leg higher. Or if the Fed stops short, you're going to get another leg higher in inflation.
So moving on to some bullish crypto news, more good things coming out, price not reflecting it. Nevertheless, guys, the foundation is being laid, the pavers, the bricks are being laid. On Wednesday, LGT Bank, which is part of LGT Group over in Liechtenstein, which is, by the way, the largest family-owned private banking and asset management group in the world, I'll say it again if I have to, announced that it is now offering direct investment in cryptocurrencies. According to the press release issued by LGT Bank, they've entered a partnership with Switzerland-based SIBA Bank, which will now act as a broker and custodian to provide this service. The two crypto assets that the clients will be offered, can you guess it? Bitcoin and Ethereum, guys. This is why I'm saying when the big money comes in, they're going to be buying Bitcoin and they're going to be buying Ethereum. And side note, a lot of people have actually asked me about altcoins. What's going on with altcoins lately? How come altcoins aren't performing well? Guys, unfortunately, altcoins are very retail driven, right? They're driven by the retail investors, right? Paul Tudor Jones isn't buying Dogecoin. Paul Tudor Jones isn't buying ApeCoin. He's buying Bitcoin. Maybe he's buying Ethereum. You know what I'm trying to say? Really, you see those altcoin rallies, those alt seasons, essentially when we have high retail interest. And I can tell you right now, my friends, the retail interest is low. But don't worry, here's the good news. They'll be back to buy at the all-time high yet again. But not you guys. You're smart. You stick it out. And actually, speaking of some altcoin news, I actually have some cool news today. So Polkadot, which you guys know I am a fan of, I do believe in interoperability, they've launched a new cross-chain communications protocol saying it will do away with the cumbersome bridging mechanisms that have cost the crypto industry billions in cyber attacks. The newly launched XCM messaging system is intended to promote Polkadot's multi-chain ecosystem, which is being built on the premise of full interoperability. And if you guys have been watching the channel, you know how I feel about interoperability. Come on, guys. Back in the old 2018 days, right? We were on this way before it was cool to be on it, right? So XCM channels are said to be secured at the same level of Polkadot's central hub, dubbed Relay Chain, and are also available for use by parachains. In other words, XCM will enable communication between parachains themselves as well as smart contracts. And that being said, guys, not too much to say. We have had a nice rally off the bottom. It is nice to see that the bulls are still defending these levels. We do have to see what happens today. Regardless of what happens at the end of the day, up, down, left, right, backwards. Charts can't do that, can they? Multiverse of madness style. But ultimately, guys, the biggest opportunity is personally, guys, like Bob Lucas said, this is the cycle. So you definitely want to be here for this. You want to be positioning yourself in the crypto markets, buying projects that you believe in, and hodling for at least the next 3 years, because I really think this is going to be the moment that Bitcoin truly does become a risk-off asset. Even guys like Gareth Soloway, who tend to be quite bearish currently, thinking Bitcoin could go sub 20K, okay, which, by the way, the 200 weekly moving average, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We're not having a Bitcoin go below 20K, but whatever, people like to dream, bears like to dream, these guys like to dream that it's going to go low. But that being said, guys, that is it for me today. If you guys do want to get those updates, on what happens today, if you want to know what the Fed meeting, go follow me over on Twitter, at the Crypto Zombie. As soon as I hear any news, I'll tweet it out over there. I'm not going to make a whole nother video just to talk about what happened. But nevertheless, guys, friendly reminder, this is the last day again for MEXC Global. That's it. It's over. Literally takes 20 seconds to sign up. It is a US-friendly exchange, and if you use the link below, you get 10% off fees for life, okay? They have like 2,000 projects you guys can trade, so check that out. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. I love you. You're awesome. Enjoy your day. Be safe out there. Don't go crazy trying to trade the news, right? That can get a little crazy sometimes. But if you guys do want to learn how to trade, which, let's be honest, most of you guys are professional traders at this point. Come on, you've been watching the Crypto Zombie channel for years now, but there are some newbies out there. I don't recommend trading with leverage. I don't recommend trading with anything other than a testnet account in the beginning. Trade with fake money, paper money. Get used to it, right? That way, if you lose, well, you didn't lose anything because you're trading with nothing. You're trading with a paper account, a demo account. And then once you start to feel comfortable, then you can start deploying small amounts of capital. Not financial advice, whatever you do on this channel, that's you. I'm just a guy on the internet, but if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure that you watch these videos popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.